Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast and the Marketing Savage Facebook group. Coming to you guys today with another live podcast with your girl, Angela Hiley. This is where we go into some of that Dr. Phil type shit.
Did you introduce yourself too? I guess I wasn't paying attention. Did you?
You want to rewind it and listen to it?
No, I'm good.
Hey, do not interrupt while we're taping.
Okay.
We're taping here, okay?
Taping? That is like...
That's what my mom used to say. She'd be like, get out that phone and tape this for me.
I think I say that.
Yeah, she'd say, go ahead and tape it.
Yeah.
Some of you youngins that don't know what.
That's how you can tell.
Some of you youngins that don't know, y'all just don't know.
That's how you can tell you're starting to get like up there.
What it was like to tape. And I remember we used to dub videos. We literally used to have like 2 VCRs connected and record videos. So we would go rent them and then do the exact same shit that said that it was like you weren't supposed to do.
It was a no-no.
Like the FBI was going to come to your house and be like, I know you recorded Ghostbusters, bro.
And I think like you were going to be like fined up to $250,000 or something.
Hey, somebody was buying all them blank tapes.
Yeah.
And I also remember we used to like record shit from the radio.
Yeah.
And like you would have to become a fucking master.
They would be like
of
the
hitting the record button.
They would do the top 8 of 8 or something.
You would have to sit there and listen to the radio until you knew they were about ready to play your song and just hit that record button really fast, record that shit, and then stop it. And then you would be able to like go on with your tape, you know? And then see what I used to see. I was smart, right? I knew what everybody wanted. Like everybody wanted the dirty shit. Like everybody wanted the dirty, nastiest shit out there. So being a true fan of 2 Live Crew and Eazy-E, I was dubbing that shit and selling it to my friends. So yeah. And that was like a little side hustle I had going on when I was young. And you would write like a different name on it. You know what I mean? So if somebody's parents picked it up and you were a young feller, you would just write like another a totally different fucking band or group or whatever, maybe you'd write what is it, like the Backstreet Boys or Young MC or something like that. Even though Young MC was dope. Young MC was dope. Like for Young MC was dope, man. That was like one of my favorite as a kid too. Yeah. So me and Angela was talking the other day and see, she didn't realize that when she married to me, she technically married into money. Yeah, I tried to explain this to her. Okay.
Excuse me. I'm gonna get all choked up here.
She's like, she tried to tell me, she goes, John, when I married you, you were a drug dealer. She said you lived with your parents.
Yes.
And you drove a Beretta.
Yeah.
I said, no, wait a minute. You got me fucked up on this one, right? Because technically, that's the way you seen it. But the way I seen it is that I lived on the 2nd story penthouse.
No.
I had a live-in cook.
Your mom? You lived at your mom and dad's
somebody
house
doing my
upstairs.
laundry and shit.
Your mother.
And I was a motherfucking drug dealer, yo. Like, hell yeah, you married into money.
No, I did not.
So you had all the drugs.
No, like we would go out to dinner and you would borrow money from your mom to take me out.
Right, because I had it tied up in my I had that money tied up in my bags, man. See, people don't realize that business, like drug dealing, is a little bit like business, even though that if you got good drugs, they'll just sell themselves, right?
Yes.
Like, if you got some good shit, you really don't have to be a good marketer. You just have to be like, you've got good shit. People will find out and they'll literally beat a path to you trying to get it, right? But the way it is that you re-up. So for some of you guys who have never done, for you guys who've done this before, you'll know, right? But for some of you guys who haven't done it before, you'll kind of be able to kind of see how it correlates with actual business today, right? So I'll give you an example. When I first started selling weed, I would literally go and buy like a quarter bag, and I'd take this quarter bag that cost me like $50, right? Or back then it may have been less than that. I would take this quarter bag and I would roll as many joints as possible, right? So let's say I bought it for $50. I would get like 20 joints rolled out of this bag.
And how much would you sell?
I would go sell all 20 joints for $5 each, making me 100% return on my profit. Then I would have $100. So then I would take that $100. I wouldn't spend it. You'd have a girl like this trying to be like, take me out to dinner. I'd be like, hell no, man. You're talking like lobster and I'm talking Whopper. Okay. And so you had to be straight up. You almost had to be like cunning at this level, right? Because, you're only working with $100, right? And you almost got to find like some chicks that you could talk them into taking you out to dinner, because then that keeps your money in the game, right? So all of a sudden you have $100 because you sold. And the trick is too, you can't be smoking all your shit. Like I know that people that would do this and they would just smoke all their shit and they would never get anywhere, right? So it's almost like you got to keep your supply chain in the fucking pot, right? You got to keep all your chips pushed in because you're trying to flip them. So you'd end up with $100, right? So with $100, you'd be able to buy a half ounce of weed, right? And then that half ounce of weed, instead of being $100, it'd come down $10. So now you got it for $90, right? So you're like, oh, fuck yeah, man. So you could take that $90 and you end up rolling 40 joints with it. You sell each one of them joints for $5 each. Now you got $200, right? Well, by the time you get to the $200 level, now you can buy an ounce, but you can buy that motherfucker for $150. Okay. So you can buy that motherfucker for like $150 and you end up buying it for $150. You do the same thing, rinse and repeat the cycle until you can buy a quarter pound. And then when you can buy a quarter pound, now you're getting the ounces for like $125 each. And essentially, you'll eventually get to the point where you can start selling the quarter bag. So you don't need as many customers, because as a drug dealer, you don't want too many customers, right? Because, one of them could turn out to be a snitch or to turn you in or something like that. And you may even start to be getting a level where you can start smoking just a tiny bit off your bag. But the best bet, is to sell it to people and have them smoke it with you. So now you're like doubling down, right? You're selling it to them. You're having it smoking with you. And, but she had all that going on when she met me, right? All of that going on. But to top it off, I had a live-in maid.
No,
we had all the food we wanted.
Your mother went to the grocery
We had
store.
laundry. She did laundry for us.
Your mother did that for you.
She was a live-in. They were my roommates. Yo.
No, that was your mother and father.
They were my roommates.
John was broke.
And then she said, and the Chevy Beretta. Man, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, man. Look, I'm 40 years old, and a Chevy Beretta was the shit back then.
It was.
Like, it was the very first car that ever came out with the door handles up on the top.
Red.
Yep, like the door handles were up on the top of this Chevy Beretta, and when you opened it up, it was it was the shit. Like that car back then. A lot of people don't realize. Like everybody.
I mean, it was nice, but you didn't really keep it very clean on the inside.
Later,
It was dirty.
I still remember. Maybe it was part my age though. I remember when, like literally for me growing up,
you weren't very clean. You were a very dirty person.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Like, I think there was times I went a couple of days without showering.
You were a stinky man.
I like
But
to
you were
live
like
with a natural scent. You know what I
He
mean?
ain't like that now. I had to whip him up, whip him in shape. He was dirty.
You know what though? I didn't give a fuck, but she
No, you
loved it.
didn't.
Hey, she loved it though. I was busy, man. I was busy doing my thing. We were heading out to concerts and shit like that. A lot of people don't realize that's where we used to get our supplies at, right? Going back to the whole drug dealing thing, we would go to these big concert venues and stuff
This
like
thing
that.
called Hookahville. They
Yeah,
used to
we
have
had
it
something
every year.
We had something locally called Hookahville.
Yeah.
And the whole deal was, when it came to Hookahville, is that we would want to save up enough money to, when we got there, we'd be able to find somebody and either do two or three things: buy a bunch of ecstasy, buy a bunch of acid, or buy a bunch of mushrooms. If either three of them things happened, we would be in good shape to bring that shit back with you. That shit was risky too, because it was in Columbus, Ohio, outside of Columbus, Ohio. And
There was a lot of cops.
There was
like
a lot of fucking cops
So
waiting for people to drive out that
so
motherfucker.
they had police officers that were there that we would walk around and stuff like that just to make sure like nothing bad would happen. Let's say like if somebody had digested way too many drugs, they were there to take the person to the medical tent to make sure that they were going to be okay. But they just kind of like looked the other way. Now, when you left that property, there were a lot of police officers
Just waiting
to pull you over to see what you had. So, you know, you'd be getting into some trouble. The thing was like anytime that John and I went, it was right when we started the PDR business. So our expedition was lettered up and it always kind of worked.
Business vehicle.
They just kind of like, you know, they just came for the music.
I still remember this, like being fucked up at Hookahville one night, and we were walking in the middle of this field. We're like, oh my God, these dudes have a fire out in the middle of the field. And we're like, let's go check it out, right? So we all start walking, and the closer we get, we realize that it's the fucking police.
Yeah.
And they're out there around this like fire way far away from, they were probably getting fucked up themselves.
But I think they were trying to prevent people from like sneaking in to where they didn't have to pay.
Yeah, they were trying to do that. Like I've never seen people at a place do so much shit, like so many drugs, and the police just walk by.
Yeah.
One hell of a fucking party. Like that place was awesome. You know,
Yeah.
and just so you guys know, like I don't do drugs unless you consider caffeine a drug, but she likes to smoke weed though.
Yes.
But that's not a drug. It's like Dave Chappelle, you know, when he went on Half Baked and he went into AA. You know, if any of you guys have watched Half Baked, that's like one of my favorite movies ever. And he goes into Alcohol Anonymous and he tells them that like he's there because he's addicted to weed.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they stood up, they're like, weed ain't no drug. And some other guy stood up. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I've sucked dick for coke. Have you sucked some dick for some weed? And Dave Chappelle's like, no, man, I haven't sucked any dick for weed. Everybody in that whole AA meeting's like, boo this man. Boo this man. So, you know, weed's not even really a drug.
No.
I was talking to some friends about that over the weekend. We just went to watch Steve Kluko compete, which you guys who are listening to this, give Steve a shout out. Give him a happy birthday. It's his birthday today. Steve is like one of the baddest motherfuckers on planet Earth. Like, I don't know if some of you guys know this, but he's hit like number 4th in fucking Mr. Olympia. He's working is working to get there. I think he's got one more shot at it to get there this year. But man, I'm just going to go out and say it because we're in a private group or on my podcast. I didn't really want to say this on Steve's wall, or I didn't want to say this on a post. But man, it was so fucking disheartening yesterday to watch the baddest motherfucker that's on that stage. Like Steve was the biggest, baddest motherfucker on that stage. And when they called him as second place,
I know.
it like the whole crowd,
like
literally the whole crowd was like, you just seen the whole fucking life drop out of the room.
Yeah.
Like people stood up and started walking the fuck out of that place. And man, I just like, I couldn't believe it. Like we were just all sitting there going, dude, like Steve is the baddest motherfucker. They called him second place. Apparently inside of these fucking bodybuilding world, I don't really know what happened or how the judges looked at that. But just like many fucking industries, which I've been involved in, they have a lot of fucking politics, like a lot of politics. So sometimes it's not about who's the best, but it's about who's the most favored by the specific organizations and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's the case. I'm just telling y'all that that's what I hate about competition, right? When I talk about competition, I'm talking about ones that people got to judge, where you got to put the hands in these fucking so-called judges, right?
Yeah.
Usually the judges are so entrenched in the organization where they're making organizational decisions in their favor, you know, and I've seen this happen in so many different industries and shit like that. And it was disheartening to see the fucking hometown hero standing up there, all the fucking supporter, and not only all the supporters, man, you guys seen the photos I post on his thing. Like, dude was fucking perfectly proportioned. And the other guy, like, he was big, but he was, I don't know, man. I'd never seen anybody fucking in shape like Steve was in this competition. Like, he was Arnold Schwarzenegger in fucking shape. Like, he was right up there with all the best in the world. And I just feel like As soon as they called that he got second place, he didn't win first. Like everybody's fucking heart just hit their stomach and people just got up and started leaving and shit. There was some lady yelling like, what the fuck? Like walking around yelling, what the fuck? And because the thing was that this was the competition to send Steve to the Olympia this year. And I don't know. I've heard that there's another chance maybe if he won at Arnold Classic that he would be able to go to Olympia, man. But I don't know. It was a hard one for me to stomach because I felt that pain I know he was going through. I know that his wife Amanda was going through this level of pain, and I've felt that shit before, man. There's been competitions that I've been involved in where man, like the people previous to judging was like ranking me a fucking winning and all the shit, and I didn't even get put in the top 15.
No.
Because I've been like really so I've been loved, I would say, by the majority of the people in many of the industries.
Yeah.
But I've always stood up to the fucking individuals who call themselves like peers, like so-called peers, right? And I've essentially out hustled every one of them motherfuckers. I beat every single one of them into the dirt when it came to the fucking the actual field. When we step on the field of fucking war, where we're going fucking head to head, toe to toe, battling in the fucking marketplace, right? I fucking killed and destroyed every single one of them, and it fucking ate them all up, right? And I literally couldn't fucking win anything. Couldn't get a prize given to me if like, you know, for anything in the fucking world. So at one point I finally realized, I was like, this shit ain't for me. Like, I ain't living life for no fucking prize. I'm not living life for no fucking trophy. I definitely ain't going around sucking somebody's fucking dick for it. So since that's not happening, and I'm inclined to piss people off all the time because I fucking beat them, you know, I don't foresee this ever happening for me. So instead of worrying about all these bullshit competitions and shit like that, where people are fucking just politically try to put other people ahead, just focus on service to the people.
Yes.
Focus on giving the people what they need, what they want, and service them. And you will never fucking lose at that level. So, you know, I'm talking to probably a lot of people that are in a lot of industries. And I'm telling you guys, man. So I'll give you an example. If you do not have and I heard this in another event that I went to, but it made so much sense when it came to anything industry-wise. So whatever industry you're in, if you do not have a seat at that table, the people that are at that table have you on the menu.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what they tell you. I don't give a fuck how they try to bring you in. But if there's a little clique group at the very top that are calling shots, they want you on that menu, right? But if you step out of that box and you fucking destroy them in the marketplace, like you will tear down their fucking tiny little empire they think they have right in front of their fucking faces, and you will eat and steal their fucking lunch. It's possible. Okay. It's 100% possible, but you got to be so pig-headed, and you got to be an individual who does not give a flying fuck what other people think. And this goes back to the whole savage thing, man. It goes back to my original message, right? Is when I step into the fucking arena, I'm not giving a fuck I'm not giving a fuck what my grandma thinks. I'm not giving a fuck what anybody fucking thinks, right? I'm stepping into the arena to satisfy my own intentions, my own soul, my own spirit, right? I'm in war with me. And the more you can go to war with yourself, which means connect to your spirit and connect that shit to your mind, and then take your mind and impose your will on your fucking body, the more that you can do that, the more power you're going to have in the marketplace. No weapon formed against you will prosper. And, you know, I do believe that a lot of people out there, they live in this state of mind like they've got to be angry at people, like they've got to harbor and hold these fucking grudges. Let me explain something to you guys. If you got time to sit around and be angry and fucking look at people and be mad and all this kind of shit, like you're not doing enough fucking personally. Like you have too much fucking time on your hands, okay? Because the greats, the people out there that are great, I'm not talking about people that are good, but the people out there that are doing great things, And I'm talking about, I'm even talking about the house mom. I'm talking about everybody from the house mom all the way to the fucking basketball players, to the people out there that are doing, the people that are helping their community, people out there that are doing great things. Don't have enough time to worry about what the fuck the other guy's doing. They don't have enough time to get mad at their so-called competition because they're too busy fucking creating. They're too busy basically mowing their fucking competition down, but not even doing it intentionally.
Can we have more of an engaging conversation? Because I feel like you're doing all the talking, and I'm just sitting over here like,
I just thought you were into it.
well, I am, but I feel like you're not sharing.
All right. Yeah.
You hear that?
Go.
You're not sharing. Like, we're not having an engaging conversation here.
We're supposed to be Dr. Phil.
It's just all about this John Hiley.
I know. We're supposed to be Dr. Phil.
I was like, damn, we're supposed to be doing this like together. Like together. John's like, I'm just gonna go out here and I'm just gonna be all about me. Me.
All right. So
let's have an engaging conversation.
All right.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about?
What would you like to talk about?
Well, whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Whatever you're spitting out was like really, really good. I'm just like, can I have a second
this is what
to say
happens.
something?
I try to hand the fucking mic to her and I say, well, take off. Engage me. And then she peters out.
No, I did not peter out, but we're supposed to have like a conversation together.
Yeah.
Togetherness.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here at the house that we just moved into.
So we're living right now in Dan Constantino's house, and it's very nice. It's very beautiful. It has a better energy and a better feeling here than the Airbnb that we were at. He is having some home improvements done while we're here, which I'm cool with that. But the only thing is, like, these workers, this is the only thing that kind of ticks me off a little bit, you know? Because I'm
my
like,
Mexican buddies will appreciate this.
I'm like, listen, because this is Dan's house, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to keep it clean for him and all this that. But these fuckers, they don't want to clean up after themselves when they leave.
Well, not only that,
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, you guys are coming here to do a job. When you leave at the end of the day, you're supposed to clean your mess up. And I'm just like, I'm holding it in, but I'm about ready to like rage on these fuckers. I really am, because I'm just like, you know, you come into somebody's home and you got to be respectful. Like, that's the biggest thing. Anytime I'm ever in like somebody's business or their home, I'm very, very respectful. You know, I pick up after myself. I have better, my manners are in check. You know, the F word's not flying out of my mouth all the time. You know, I'm being very, very respectful.
I don't think they've been cursing unless they've been doing it in Spanish.
I'm not talking about what they're saying. I'm saying is they're not cleaning up after themselves.
Yeah, they've been respectful in every other manner, right?
Well, yeah,
but yeah, they just but the reason why we found out later is because, and here's the thing, the guy who speaks English, he leaves them here and then they don't speak English. So it's like, you know, hey, you know, right? And but I was talking to Jose Escamala about this, who he has a company that comes out and, you know, does works on flips and all this kind of stuff. And Jose was basically just saying they're not being supervised. And I was telling him, right, so you guys know I got a lot of Mexican friends, and my Mexican buddies can appreciate this. Like, these are the slowest working fucking Mexican people I've ever met in my life. Like back in Ohio, you know, I've seen Mexicans like be the hardest working men I've ever seen in my life. Like, they tear a fucking roof off, put a whole new roof on a small apartment building in one fucking day. And I'm like, I used to tell her, I'd be like, could you imagine if there's like a group of fucking white guys up there doing that? And like, there ain't no fucking way we'd be moving like them fucking dudes. Well, not these guys, man. This group right here, it took one motherfucker like 4 hours to hang a fan. I'm like, I could fucking hang a fan quicker than that. Like 4 hours to hang a damn ceiling fan. And
but I'm cleaning up after him because this is Dan's house and I want to keep it nice and clean for him.
But Jose Escamala, like, you guys who don't know him, that's Ryan Stewman. He's the funnel builder for Ryan Stewman. He's also one of the dudes who was in prison with Ryan. And Jose had
I love Jose.
Yeah, Jose's like removing all his gang tattoos and shit like that. Like, Jose was in prison with Stewman, and the dude's a badass motherfucker, man. He's like let me come down there and talk to him, bro. He's like, I'll make sure they do it all up, man. He goes, here's what you do, right? Giving me all this shit, you know? And
But seriously, since we moved to Texas, like I'm gonna learn how to speak Spanish because that's like the second language down here. And I honestly feel like if I knew how to speak Spanish, I would, number one, I would know if these guys are saying anything about us.
oh God.
And then I'd be like responding back to them and be like, I know exactly what the fuck you guys are talking about.
I always thought that like Chinese people did that when you walked in the Chinese restaurant. They're like,
do.
Wong Dang Dang, and I'm probably like, look at that goofy bitch, you know, like
Probably so.
he has a
Probably
big
so.
fat head.
But it was so funny because like Dan has to get the privacy fence replaced. And the one guy came here on Saturday and I was like, my husband's not here and he has the key to the lock and I could put her in her cage. And he's like, oh, I love dogs. I love dogs. And I was like, she's an American bulldog.
He thinks she's this little tiny ass bulldog.
I was like, she's an American bulldog. I was like, she's really nice. I was like, are you going to be comfortable going back there? And he's like, oh yeah, I love dogs. And when he seen her and she started barking, she
got some big deep bark.
She
too.
was very nervous, but then she was just like,
but she's a lover. Like,
yeah.
She would never like attack. Like she would never attack
He was
somebody that
nervous.
was not aggressive. Like if somebody was aggressive, I've been told, like, I don't know if mine will do it, but I have been told that these dogs, because she's such a sweetheart, you know.
well, she's protective. She
she
don't want
does.
nothing.
She's very protective.
She's just like, I'm not gonna let nobody fuck with my family. Like I will fuck you up.
She's very protective. And when people walk into her presence, she comes out with a very, very deep bark. And she weighs, I'd say 85 to 90 pounds, depending on what time of year that it is.
Yeah.
And she really looks like a giant pit bull. She's about a bigger, taller than a pit bull. She's not like, people don't realize an American bulldog is not that tiny ass like bulldog, which I love.
It's not an English.
It's not an English bulldog,
There's the
right?
difference between
English
the two.
bulldog. So she's big and she has a ton of fucking muscle. And her face, she's what they call a Scot. So they literally got two types of American bulldogs. They got a Scot and they got a Johnson. Well, Johnson has a smaller smushed in nose, kind of like the Georgia Bulldog. And then the Scot, which is ours is a mixture of the two, has the longer nose, looks like a pit bull.
So she doesn't have like a long snout, but it's kind of
It's
like
like
a
right
shorter
in the
one.
middle of the two.
She looks almost kind of like the dog off of the Little Rascals.
The Little Rascals.
Like a lot of times when people see her and they know that she's an American Bulldog, they're like, oh, she looks just like the dog off of the Little Rascals.
But when people walk up, they're just inclined to think that she's a pit. Like
Yeah.
they really, like most people are just inclined to think that she's a pit. Which man, we were walking down the trail the other day and some guy had a pit bulls and American bulldogs, like the one that I have to have fucking responsible owners. So if
Yes.
you own that dog, okay, you can't just throw it in the fucking backyard and not introduce the dog to people. You've got to be socializing the dog at a very early age. You've got to put the dog in other people's hands. Like we took her through a puppy training that during the puppy training, part of it was to pass them around the room and other people would stick their hands in her mouth.
Yeah.
And that was super important to do that at an early age because we wanted people to get used to, she wanted her to get used to other people touching her, other people being around her, other people walking her. Like one of the things that he did in the puppy class that Mike did that was really good. And this dude was like, he used to be trained dogs as a prison guard guy. So he was a guard in a prison. He used to run the dog training program and he opened up his own program, but he would literally have other people walk your dog as a puppy. Other people work with them. Other people train them.
Mhm.
So he was getting them used to other people and to have a pit or to have an American bulldog. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get both of them that would just, genetically not be aggressive, but you can also get the opposite side of the fence where something happened to them early on, something makes them aggressive. I believe like you got to be a responsible dog owner at that level and just take them out and do the things that they need to make sure that they don't go down that aggressive route. You don't want a dog that could get out of the fence and bite a little kid or something like that. Like that's a horrible thing to potentially have. So my whole thing is it's never the dog's fault. It's always the owner's fault. Right. So when you see like people talk about pit bulls being aggressive and shit like that, it's typically a fucking shitty dog owner who didn't do the proper research and also wasn't committed to doing the right type of training that animal needed to be successful in its life
That's why
around other people.
Lily. I mean,
She's a miniature
thankfully,
schnauzer,
she's
though.
like
Our
very
little miniature.
small,
Yeah,
but it was our fault.
it was because we didn't know this. Like,
No,
we kind of learned this on the miniature schnauzers because you guys know we love our miniature schnauzers. We're on our third one. My little brown dog that's with me all the time, Odin. He's sitting right here beside her, and so we're on our third one. But with Odin, we learned, right. So my very first one, we got him, and he was kind of aggressive, and he never bit anybody, like, you know what I mean. But he was kind of aggressive. And then he died at an early age, and we got our second one. I made the same mistake with her. We didn't socialize her. We didn't do the things I'm talking about. She started getting aggressive again, and we're like, what the fuck? So we took her off to doggy boot camp.
Yeah.
But what we had learned during this thing
We missed
is
the
that
window.
we missed the window of socialization. So we took her to doggy boot camp when she was about a year old. But technically, you should be socializing your dogs in between, like, I think it's 2 to 4 months.
Yeah,
old.
2 to 4 or like from 3 to 6. Like
Mhm.
that's that window where you gotta and you can't just half-ass it. I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta take this dog everywhere.
And a good places to go be like Lowe's, Home Depot.
Mhm.
There's a lot of places that'll actually allow you to bring your dogs in there. And if you can, when they're a puppy, because everybody wants to pet the puppy, right?
Oh yeah.
Let as many people pet your dog as possible. Hand them to as many people. I took Odin, and he would be at my shop, and when people came in, I would hand Odin to him.
Mhm.
And that dog made me money as well. You know, we would have adjusters come in during hail damage storms, and we had this one lady. She looked like she was like a hardcore bull dyke, and she came in, and I was thinking, oh fuck, we're gonna have to deal with this chick. Soon as she
was
seen
really
the
nice.
dog, but it was when she seen the dog. As soon as she seen a puppy, like, oh, you know, she was like literally had the baseball Oakleys on, like baseball players
She
wear.
gave us more money too.
Yeah, she like giving us more money and shit because we got a puppy. I'm putting the puppy in her hands, like, hold him, you know?
Yeah.
And but that's what you got to do as being a responsible dog owner. Now, the problem with him is that he's still around his sister, who is a little bit aggressive. So he gets bad habits from her, but he's like watered down by like 70% of the problems that we had with her.
Well, yeah.
You know?
And plus, I honestly feel like, I hate saying this, but like if Lily wasn't here, the habits that he somewhat has, it would be extremely easy
It'd
to
be
break.
easier to break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely be easier to break because we heavily socialized them. I still remember when we were in Home Depot one day. Like,
oh my
or no,
God.
we were in Lowe's actually. We were in Lowe's.
Oh, goodness.
Like I had all the people pulled up in their carts. Like there was an associate there, and they're all petting them. And somehow, like, you know, he had a retractable leash that I had. It fell out of my hand and like kind of like hit him on his back and scared him.
And he took off running?
Took off running,
Oh
and
my
the thing
God.
was chasing behind him. So he thought something was chasing him.
Oh my
And
God.
I had to take off running. Like you guys know how big I am. You want to see what it looks like when I sprint? It's fucking crazy. You know, it's almost like
No,
I don't
but
know.
John
It's almost
did this-
like a.
John did this move, okay? Like when he caught it,
I had
he
to
like
dive.
Yeah, but
I had to jump and dive to catch this
yeah, but
dog.
one
He was
leg
through
went
one
like
side of the
this.
store.
One leg went like this, and then the other one was like it was bent
I
back.
basically did the splits
He did a half split. Oh my!
to catch this dog in the middle of this fucking
It
store
got so awkward after that.
because he squealed when I grabbed him, almost like I like abused him or something like that.
Yeah.
He was like, "Arr!" And you know,
Excuse
but hey,
Oh,
that's
that was
the price you
hilarious.
gotta pay. That's the
Oh,
price
that
you
was
gotta pay.
so funny. John grabbed Odin, and then we went into the other aisle. We were dying laughing. Like I was crying because it was hilarious. And then we're like walking around the store, and then we end up coming in contact with another one of the employees that seen all this, and it was awkward.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Well, so I am officially on day number 5 of 75 hard, y'all. Been waking up at 4 a.m. She promises me every morning. She goes, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to go out and work out with you.
Well, okay. So I say that, but it's been a little crazy. So my body's like really tired. And then one day I woke up and my stomach was upset. It was because it was just stress and anxiety, you know, and stuff like that. So
So,
I
but
took a walk with you today.
yep.
We got our walk on this
Oh,
morning.
man. Today was brutal. Like the
pushed
sun,
you.
like I
pushed you.
literally had like by the time I got done, my whole shirt was soaking front and
I
back.
know, I pushed you.
It felt good. It felt good, but I think today was the pinnacle for me at 4 a.m. every day. And
I was
my goal
tired.
is to get all my shit done by 10, right? So by 10 o'clock, I want all of my shit done. So right when I wake up, I almost like slam some coffee. I'd go out and do the road work, right? Do my outdoor workouts. Then I'll go to the gym a little bit later in the day after I do my reading and do some MITs and get some shit done. But I not only during 75 hard want to have the workouts done, I want to have most of my important fucking work done for the day. Because by the time 10 a.m. comes and you ride in on your day with that big fucking win, like that you got all this shit accomplished. And then at 10, you're like I literally, if I don't want to fucking do anything for the rest of the day, I can just go, right? We can go do whatever we want. If me and her got to go around town, shit, we went shopping on Friday.
We bought pretty much all of our furniture for the house.
I get people that try to hit me up with meetings the day of. I'm like, that ain't never gonna fucking happen.
You know, I will say, you have really good taste in picking furniture out. Like, I was kind of overwhelming because if you ever come to Texas, you need to make sure that you go check out Nebraska Furniture. It's very overwhelming because there's a lot of choices.
It's called Nebraska Furniture Mart.
And there's a lot of choices. So I already knew that I was going to be overwhelmed. And I already went online and went through the furniture that they had in stock and picked certain pieces out that I liked. And then when we got there, he's like, oh, well, we have furniture that is in stock, but it's not on the website. So there was going to be a few more choices to choose from. But John, I honestly feel that like when I got overwhelmed, he stepped in and you've got really good taste.
Yeah.
He's got really good taste.
My new office we're going to be rolling into is going to be dope. Not only is it going to be dope, I'm going to have like a TV setup that I'm putting in there that's going to give me like a 50-inch TV whiteboard computer where I'm going to be able to upload, like some of you guys see that I'll put what we call in the marketing world IP, that is intellectual property. So I'll put up things that have like pyramids and circles and all this kind of stuff. What's the great thing about IP and intellectual property is it gives people a visual of what you're talking about. And there's some examples, like there's multiple ways that you can do it, right? You go out there and look up intellectual property, look up graphs, charts, shit like that. You can create some really nice stuff. But one of the cool things is I'm going to be able to pull this shit up on the whiteboard and I'm going to be able to digitally basically use a marker on this thing and change the colors and all kinds of shit. Neat. I'll be able to tap it into my computer, play it directly on here. It's pretty cool. Like Samsung has one I got to look into, but there's another company. If I find the link, I'll drop it in here. But there's another company that's been popular for a while that I'm thinking about snagging one up. But one of the cool things that I noticed, like let's say, like for instance, like if you're a football coach, right, you can literally watch the playback of the game. And you can stop and you can draw on the screen and talk to the team about which way the person's going, what's happening there, where they need to go. So there's a lot of going to be, I think, a lot of visual benefits to my training moving forward by having this piece of equipment.
But that's also better. It's like the step up from the dry eraser boards. Like it's on a different level.
It's on a different level from the dry eraser boards. And I truly believe, because you guys are going to be seeing a lot of videos coming out here in the near future. We're going to be really pushing our media company. We're going to be really pushing not only that, but our funnel building, our marketing services. And with all of that, having a video with something like that in there is a pattern interrupt, because you truly don't see it every day. And when you're on there drawing on a TV and you can put something really fucking cool in the background, change it in front of people, I believe it's going to be a really good pattern interrupt to actually start the videos. Some of you guys are probably like, what the fuck is a pattern interrupt? Well, you need to go back and listen to that podcast. But a pattern interrupt is literally our attention span in today's day and age is less than 8 seconds. So we got less than 8 seconds to interrupt somebody's pattern. I like to do it in 5 because I believe with Facebook, people are going to scroll and they're going to see you for a second. They're going to like either scroll past you and come back, or they're going to stop and wait just a second, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to take them a few seconds just to gather what you're doing. So I like to do my pattern interrupts within 3 to 5 seconds, like 3 to 5 seconds. I'll do something like I'll flip the whole frame upside down and flip it back straight. Just something to stop people dead in their tracks so they watch your video. And I think this piece is going to do that.
And John's office is so like, it's so Texas.
Yeah. We got live wood shelves that are going to go behind me.
That's
some
really
shelving.
nice, though. It is.
Yeah. It's going to be really nice. We got there's a little bit of a slight cow theme in there, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up getting an office chair. Kind of like this one right here, but the back of it, it's kind of more curved, more Texas style, but the back of it's straight cowhide.
It's black and white.
It's a black and white cowhide on the back of this office chair. And then I ended up snagging up another cowhide chair to go over in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And the desk looks vintage, rustic.
Yeah.
I see having this podcast set up. I got to have desks that have like an edge on it, right? So I can't as much as I love old school executive desks. Like I love that shit. Like I love that old school executive, almost presidential type look. That's just me, man. That's the nostalgia that I love. See, I can't do it because they don't have much of an edge on the desk. And all these mics, either you got to drill a hole in the desk to get the mic in there, or you got to use a clamp to clamp on the side of the desk.
And see, we're in a 3-bedroom, and John was like, in the beginning, he's like, I think we should turn that into like a podcast room. And I'm like, no. He's like, but we have this walk-in closet. And I'm like, I seen the walk-in closet, and I'm like, this closet is not big enough. I was like, I need my shoe room. I get a lot of compliments on that shoe room. And listen, this man over here loves to take his photo in my shoe room.
It did have the best lighting.
And you should see this.
She's probably going to have me put
up.
Another chandelier in there.
Absolutely.
And yes, the mirror that we bought is insane.
It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. I seen that mirror and I was like, I am getting this mirror because if he was going to say something, I'll be like, listen, did you see all that furniture that you picked out for your office?
No, she tried to start fucking skimping on me. And I'm like, hey.
Wait a minute. First, he tells me like, we are going to be, which we were. We did not go in there and it was like splurge, 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 splurge. We had a budget, but I was trying to be more conservative. But then I was like, here's the thing though. Like I seen what he wanted and I was like, it was really good what you picked out. And I'm like, I'm just not going to argue about this. Because when you're married, you got to pick your battles.
And I'm just not going to buy a bunch of fucking trash. There's a difference between a trashy piece of furniture and one that's fucking quality. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go in and buy a bunch of fucking carbon or what is that fucking cardboard wood.
Like the stuff they sell at IKEA.
And no offense to IKEA, man. And no offense to people who buy shit there. Cause some of that shit does look good,
It's just what
I want a solid fucking piece of wood. If I buy something, I want it to be fucking real wood. I don't want it to be this cardboard shit I got to fucking screw together. I don't want that in our TV stands. I don't want that in the fucking the bed stands. I don't want that in any of our shit.
No.
So for me, like I'm gonna buy something that's made out of real fucking wood and something looks good, and you're gonna just pay more for that shit. Period. Now my style is a lot more fucking deep fucking woods country than her, so we had to meet somewhere in the middle. Because man, I found this place that's up here in Denton, and I think it's called Texas Cowhide Furniture. And
no, I said we're gonna go back and look at the tables and chairs.
This place looks straight out of a fucking Western movie, y'all. Like that shit was so fucking sick. Like multiple animal, like they blend in like leather and fucking stitching and shit like that with fucking animal fur. Like the place was just crazy as fuck.
I did not want the whole house. I did not want the whole house to be manly. Like somebody walks in, they're like, "Oh,
smoky cigars, bourbon."
Just a man that lives here.
Sex Panther cologne.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though:
60% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Listen, the last time John and I decorated a home, which was like 10 years ago when we moved down to Miamisburg, and during that time, that's when my anxiety was like out of control. Like I didn't have it in check. So John went and bought all the furniture for this house. Like he went down, he picked the house out, which he did a really good job. But he was the one that like really decorated the house. And I didn't really put my touch to it, I mean, he had to step in and do it. you know.
You know,
But-
back then, shit, I think I got everything that time at Ashley Furniture.
Yeah.
But come to find out, like, really, like, they sold Ashley Furniture and Nebraska Furniture Mart, but that honestly is the cheap shit, like it, or like the knockoff shit. So
It's not
didn't-
gonna have,
even though
it's not gonna hold up.
the one thing I wanted to buy that was Ashley Furniture that they did was very fucking brilliant. We have it in this house here inside of Dan put these in the bedroom, but it's a nightstand that has like the way hotels put the fucking plug in for your phone on the back of it. And they tilted at an angle where you could easily get to it is brilliant. But if you go buy some nicer like hardwood furniture and shit like that, they haven't done that yet to a lot of that stuff. Like you can buy like a $100 or $200 Ashley Furniture bed stand, and you can get that. And
You'll be okay.
that's
You'll
what
be
I
okay,
wanted to
Big
do.
Daddy. You'll
But
be
she
okay.
made it, you know, where I
You'll
couldn't
be
do
okay.
that.
You'll be okay, Big Daddy.
You know what I mean?
You'll be all right, Big Daddy.
I'll be all right.
Yeah.
There's a plug-in behind the fucking thing, so I'm not really too worried about it. But
I'll,
man,
I'll
that's
set
convenient.
you up good. I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah,
that
I'm
way
sure
you
you
won't
will.
have to worry about it. Okay.
I'm sure you will.
You'll be all
So,
good.
Anyhow,
worry.
we're 45 minutes in this podcast, girl. We need
Your
to wrap
mom
this
will
thing
take
up.
care of you.
Yep, I know you will. All right, everybody. So anyhow, we're gonna go ahead and bounce out of here. It's always great seeing you guys. I think this is the second Sunday in a row we had a podcast.
Yes.
Man, if you guys didn't hear my Savage Sunday sermon, it's called "The Meek Will Inherit the Earth." You need to step in and listen to that one because I do believe this is a different take than a lot of people have ever heard on that subject, and I think it'll be very, very interesting for you.
Can I
So
say just one more thing?
yeah,
So when John got back from the first walk that he did, he was telling me about this. And I'm like, everything that you were telling me, I was like, you need to go do your Sunday sermon with this. And he's like, hold on, I want to tell you. And I'm like, that's fine. But I want you to like the mindset that you were in and the way that it was flowing and the energy that you were putting out. I'm like, you got to go and do a Sunday sermon because this is just, it was just so good.
Savage
It was so
Sunday
good.
sermon.
It was so good. It was so good. I
yeah.
love you so much.
So anyhow, y'all, we appreciate you for coming along. It's Marketing Revolution podcast, and as usual, let's see you on that next one.
And remember, it's all about the motherfucking hustle.